The evolution of Twitter itself has changed the way we as athletes are viewed, and just our ability to be exposed. It's just been taken to an entirely new level.
And I don't think that we would have had nearly the kind of buzz or conversation around that without something like Twitter.
I think, 5-10 years ago, I still maybe would have gained some exposure, obviously, just from Sports Center or Baseball Tonight. But I think Twitter took it everywhere we go, and literally every second we can be reaching out to fans, and they can be reaching out to us. I think it's pretty cool.
There is no doubt that today's pro athlete is more accessible than at any other time. Because of this phenomenon, we elevate athletes to a whole new level. Trending.
And Bold over the bullpen mound, stumbles. Bold goes after the first one, and he shoots one. That's going to get out of here. Toward left center. Bold with a diving catch. And a high shot down the right side. That's got some carry. And a diving attempt and a catch by Bold. Sam Bold and Brink catch.
If anyone knows about this, it's Sam Full. The Durham, New Hampshire native became a national sensation after his scorching start to the 2011 season.
I'm somewhat of a folk hero on Twitter.
Super Sam Capes being enjoyed by kids and adults alike. Rays lead 7-0 on Super Sam Fold Superhero Cape Giveaway Day.
Tweets flew in by the second, branded with the Legend of Sam Fold hashtag. Sam isn't the first player to have a hot start, but he may have been baseball's first example of a Twitter legend.
The fact that people were writing all that stuff was pretty cool. Just it's really kind of surreal. It all happened so quickly. That coupled with like the actual success I was having on the field, it was exciting. And we had guys like print out a whole packet of all those Legends Sam Fold tweets, and they were passing around the clubhouse. We just had a lot of fun with it.
With the power of Twitter, the biggest sports stories not only stop the world of sports, but the rest of the world as well.
And he is the basketball phenom everyone has been buzzing about right now, going from bench warmer to big star overnight. New York Knicks Jeremy Lin has been on a dramatic scoring tear, including, yes, that three-pointer last night. Josh has been just sitting here patiently waiting to tell you about Lin's sanity.
When Denver quarterback Tim Tebow threw this touchdown pass on Sunday, he entered the record books, not just for football, but because it prompted more than 9,400 tweets per second, a Twitter record for a sporting event.
And if you thought the legend of Sam Fold blew up quickly, you'll be amazed by Lin's sanity and Tebow mania.
Here for the Lin. And yes, he's done it again.
5 minutes of mostly discombobulated football. They lose contained on the left side. There he goes. Nobody's going to stop him. And Tebow.
Most people you talk to won't hesitate to tell you how much they love Twitter. But there are certainly people who are skeptical of the little blue bird.
Whatever you put out there, like when you push that button, it's out there forever, and it's out there for everybody to see, and you can't delete it.
We don't want our own players tweeting about themselves or what goes on in the locker room, because that old school mentality, for example, was what happens in the locker room stays in the locker room. Well, that doesn't hold true any longer. And the fact of the matter is, you have a whole bunch of people that aren't trained in the industry making speculations, to include student athletes sometimes, right?
Their goal is to get me on Twitter, but I don't. I find that's kind of evasive. I like having a phone and where you can find out stuff. I got scores in there and things like that, or if I need to go somewhere, you plug it in. This is where I want to go, that kind of stuff. But I'm not. I don't want all my business out there, and so it's just not something. And I don't find myself that interesting that I think a lot of people would want to know what I have to say.
But little has been done around sort of what's good practices and sort of teaching young athletes as they start to become part of the media world. What's a good use of Twitter or Facebook?
Over the past year, we've seen a fair share of athletes get in trouble for casual Twitter posts. Take Ryan Spadola, a football player from Lehigh. The NCAA made him the first ever player suspended for a tweet, 2 days before a playoff game nonetheless. Many people will remember Steelers running back Rashard Mendenhall taking heat from the public after these tweets last year. This even stretches to high school students. Michigan recruit Geary was kicked out of his New Jersey prep school and lost his scholarship offer from the Wolverines. But as unfortunate as these incidents are, many athletes and coaches will tell you that Twitter is not the problem. People have been saying stupid things for a long time, so it's not because of Twitter that they're saying stupid things now.
To me, it's like saying you can't blame Twitter is like saying you can't blame the gun for someone being murdered. Twitter is involved with, the process of an athlete getting in trouble sometimes, right? But ultimately, what's to say if a microphone's in their face and they're in the locker room, they're not going to say the same kind of stupid thing anyway.
And, I look at it as, I almost think it's more difficult or almost harsher to use a quote during an interview, because that's what that person's thinking at that time. It's coming out of your mouth, it's live, it's real time. With a tweet or a Facebook post, you actually have to write that out and then push send or submit or reply or whatever it is that you're doing. You have a second chance before you push that button where no one else sees it to either take that back, but when it's coming out of your mouth, it's live, it's real time, it's right there.
It allows you to sort of articulate, even though you're only dealing with 140 characters, you can definitely articulate exactly what you want to say. But it's not foolproof either, because, I don't know, you may be coming off a tough game or something happened that you didn't like during the course of a game, and maybe you go right to your phone and you feel like that's a way to vent.
Anytime you put yourself out there, there's just sort of a disclaimer, you know what you're getting into.
One of the benefits of Twitter for athletes, coaches, and teams is the ability to build your own brand.
But what's so interesting about Paul Bissonnette is, so if you know anything about hockey, there's usually 4 lines to an NHL team, and the 4th line guys don't play a lot. And the league minimum is about $700,000, $800,000. So in some people's minds who aspire to be a hockey player, which is both Canadian kids up here, this guy's sort of a bit of a hero. He's living life. He's getting paid to play in the NHL, but he doesn't play a lot. So he's not a superstar. He doesn't score goals. So what's in it for him to embrace Twitter? He's been able to create a brand for himself. So he's been able to branch out and become a personality outside of what he does on the ice. And so he has a line of clothing called Sauce Hockey, and he promotes it through Twitter, and it's got, 4th line forever, things that are basically very much relate to who he is as a person. So this guy is not a superstar, but he's been able to create a brand and a whole set of other income and revenue beyond the 6 minutes he plays a game.
So if I want to be seen kind of as the sexy athlete or the powerful athlete or the star, I can really use Twitter as a way to be able to frame that message and give what I think that the message that I want to send out to consumers to be able to read.
I think I noticed last year when we played in Minnesota, when one of their batters came up to the plate, it was their name, their number, and then their hashtag underneath. So organizations are figuring out this is a great way to help not only the individual, but to gain exposure for the team as well.
Teams have gone as far as there's putting Twitter handles on uniforms. Instead of the player's name, they put their Twitter handle for a game on the back of the jersey. So they've started to embrace that as a way, I think, to keep engaging fans.
I probably wouldn't have had the turnout that I did for that camp if it weren't for Twitter. And I think, Paul, that was the initial thought, honestly, when I signed up, was at the very least, if I never used Twitter for anything but an opportunity to advertise, to market my charitable work, then it's a plus. And I think a lot of athletes view Twitter in the same regard.
Oh, I think it's positive. I think if it's used in the right manner, to get fans more involved, to generate more interest, yeah, maybe I should be doing that here at UNH with our students in particular.
Athletes and coaches have always had an interesting relationship with fans, and while some see the increased access as dangerous, others see opportunity.
I don't like people when they go after your players. That really, really bothers me, because like I said, nobody knows what goes on in this gym every single day.
You can't ask 3,200 people to show up and then tell them they can't have opinions. It just doesn't work that way. But the reason they're showing up is because they do have opinions.
I enjoy reaching out to fans or just giving them a little glimpse into my life or whatever, sharing an article or a link that I like.
In only a few years, Twitter has done the unthinkable by becoming practically a requirement for any professional athlete.
I think it's amazing. When I got on there last year in like May, I was maybe one of 5 or 6 guys on the team who won. And by the end of the season, there were probably 12. And now, this spring training, you're really an anomaly if you don't have an account.